This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Well, let's get back to it.
Yes, now I don't have to bother to watch Match of the Day. All that time I've saved. Some texts and tweets and such from last night. Tom texts, always listen back the next day, but I'm getting deja vu. It's like an echo in here. I think I've read this one already. Always listen back to the next day, but tuned in live from Dublin on the app every now and again. Just found the HD button. There's an HD button. What does that do? Oh, no, I've just done something terrible with my screen. That's never done that. Oh, no, now it's back again. It's okay. Panic over. You can relax, everybody. Stand down. Never try to do something while you're doing something else. Unless you're driving an Audi, of course, and then you can do 6 things at once because you are special and nothing bad will ever happen to you. Sally via Alexa says, Mr. Trump wants to get the papers on Area 54. Oh. Mr. Trump wants to get the papers on Area 54, says Sally. Area 50... What, you mean Studio 54? Yeah, I can imagine what went on in there.
Disgusting.
I can only imagine. Mike text, the 3-body film is a Chinese film. It surprises me Netflix shows it because it is of national security in the USA. I have no idea what that is about. Aldo says, nerd alert. 31 years and 8 months, not 37 years. And this was in reference to me explaining what the difference between a million and a billion is, because we throw these words around all the time, these giant numbers, and it's very difficult to have an idea about what they are unless you reduce them to the unit that we are more familiar with, seconds. So 3 million seconds, for instance, is about a month. 3 billion seconds is an entire lifetime, assuming you live to over 90 years old. That's the difference between a million and a billion. A million seconds is about 11 days. A billion seconds, as Aldo says, is 31 years and 8 months. Wow, huge. You'd think that somebody who had 100 times a billion seconds would have time to spare. But apparently they spend all of their time trying to get more time. Carl says it's 53. What is? It's 53. I love that. This happens every show. People are listening to me and I don't know. I mean, maybe they think that we're having a real-time conversation. And I'll say something, probably something stupid.
Yeah.
And they reply by text, thinking that I'm seeing it in that moment, but I'm not. No, I'm not. I sound like that nice lady out of the Conservative Party. I've already forgotten what her name is. What's her name? Anne Widdecombe is the right answer. I don't know why you were confused about that. It was almost as though Anne Widdecombe had walked in the door. Yeah, wouldn't that be alarming? I mean, of all the people in all the world to burst through my door, Anne Widdecombe, can you believe that? Couldn't stand it. Anyway, Kyle says it's 53, which is incorrect. Whatever it is that you're texting me about, Kyle, I've got no idea. Luke says, isn't it Area 51, not Area 54? Yeah, well, your name's not on the list at Area 51 either, Luke. You ain't getting in. And Ed texts, not sex. Ed does not sext this show. Not to my knowledge, anyway. Ed texts, isn't it Area 52? Well, other numbers are available, but blimey. Make your mind up, people. Area 51, Area 52, Area 53, Area 54. Pick one. Let's have Ilford. Hello, Alan. That, by the way, concludes all of yesterday's business. Can you believe that? I've got through all of the texts from yesterday, or at least the ones that were cut and pasted by my glamorous assistant. I've got through them all in the first 10 minutes. I am stunned. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I've actually sussed out what Trump is up to.
Is there something wrong with your voice?
No, I've got a funny voice.
Ah.
Yeah. And so I've sussed out what Trump is really up to.
Go on.
Well, he's put out this thing about the Gaza on the Gaza Strip.
Oh, yeah.
Turning into a leisure centre.
Yes.
Well, what it is he's done that. Now, all these ding-a-ling voters are praising him from high and putting their hands up and praising him from high.
Mm-hmm.
And why they're doing that is round the back, he's got his hands in their pockets counting their change.
Counting their change, yeah. Yeah, wake up, dinglings. It's already too late. Excellent work there, Alan. I want you to keep your eyes peeled and let me know if anything further develops straight away. Promise me you'll do that. Appreciate it. Text from today. Simon says, a couple of weeks ago you mentioned about how things from your youth may not seem as funny now as they were then. The specific show you mentioned was The Young Ones. Well, I watched the series from start to finish this week and it still stands the test of time, says Simon. Really? Because I sort of doubt that. But then it's such a long time since I've seen it. I mean, I saw it when it came out and then not since. So, I don't know, it just... From memory, it seems like one of those things that would be of its moment. But maybe you're right. I mean, you have more intimate knowledge of it than me, Simon. So I'll take your word for it. Ruth texts, do you have that window open? No, I don't. And I should do. For the benefit of my health. But it does create a bit of a hum. I'm creating a hum. Ruth texts, you made that Audi joke last night. It's BMW drivers to whom the rules of the road don't apply, says Ruth, which is completely incorrect in every respect. You got that wrong, Ruth. No, it used to be the case, I'm pretty sure, that BMW drivers were the type that would never let you out of a side road. Never, ever, 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 ever let you out of a side road. And there would always be right up the back of your car, so you could, if there wasn't windows between you, you could feel their hot breath on the back of your neck. That used to be BMW drivers. Now, if anything berserk happens on the road near me, now maybe it's just that I assume that it's going to be an Audi driver, and every time I see one doing something stupid, I think, yeah, typical. It sort of reinforces my preconceived ideas, but it does seem to happen a lot. I have never been in an Audi. I have got no idea what it's like inside. It's probably fan-bloomin-tastic. Maybe it just relaxes you a little bit too much. Maybe it's too gorgeous and marvellous a thing to be in, that it relaxes you just a little bit too much. And you lose concentration, perhaps, or you lose your inhibitions. Perhaps that's what it is. Maybe every time you get into an Audi, it mixes you a cocktail.
Booze.
It's not a great step forward in road safety, however. It's either an Audi or, I do notice this a lot, a Vauxhall. I don't know why, but it seems to be that people who drive an Audi or a Vauxhall do crazy things around me, particularly when going through, that place I drive through a lot. Streatham, particularly through Streatham. Every time I drive through Streatham, I have to grip the steering wheel a little bit harder. I mean, of course, you roll your windows up, you make sure that all the doors are locked and all, but that goes without saying. But just grip the steering wheel a little bit harder because you know something berserk is about to happen to you when you drive through Streatham. Never, ever fails. I mean, it'll be two numpties in a hatchback who are racing each other, weaving in and out of traffic, like they're playing a video game. Like if they smash into a tree, they'll just be able to press reset and start the game again. The stuff you see. Tom says, just wondering about your throat. Have the carpets been cleaned in your broom cupboard? I'm sure you had a problem like that before. No, but I do recall that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that to Tom, because now I'll be able to explain it at length for the next 15 minutes.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I saw this bloke with one of them carpet washing machines. The carpet washing machine? Not where you put the carpet in the washing machine. It's a washing machine that washes the carpet while the carpet is in situ. I'm beginning to sound like Boris Blooming Johnson now.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Latin I'm coming out with. Whatever happened to him? We're still not missing you, Bodge, in case you were wondering. Yes. Don't feel like you have to rush back from wherever it is that you're, whatever hedge you're sleeping under these days. Where was I? Oh, yeah, I was complaining about the carpets. Yeah, I saw this bloke who was... and the smell that was coming off the carpet washing machine instrument that he was using was just phenomenal. And then I wandered away, and I thought to myself, gosh, I hope he doesn't do it in my little broom cupboard, because it is such a tiny space that that may cause me a problem. And I came back, and he was in here. And I thought, oh, no. Well, I don't really have the authority to tell him to stop, because what's it got to do with me, right? So it's part of his job, presumably, unless he's just making up his job and just cleaning parts, that he determines need cleaning. Anyway, I said nothing because, I'm British and I don't like to make a scene. I'd rather die than make a scene. And I came in here afterwards, and the carpet was actually squelching. It was so wet with whatever it is that they clean carpets with. And the stench that was coming off it, I could see it was like a haze coming off the carpet. Everything was a bit hazy. And I felt a bit woozy, but not in a good way. I thought I was going to die in here. I really did. I didn't think I'd be able to cope. I did not think I'd be able to sit in this stench for 3 hours, but I did, because I'm a good boy, I am. Plus, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Hello, boys.
Tom texts some great suggestions as to how to fix your throat last night. Well, that's no good. You should have texted me last night, you idiot. He says cranberry juice, gin, lemon juice, gin, apple juice, gin, garlic, gin, ginger and gin. And don't forget, you need to get them in the right order. Well, any fool can get them in the right order. I mean, you'd have to be some kind of numpty not to be able to get them in the right order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Plus, extra points for getting it in order. John says, actually, it's not Area 51, 52 or 53, it's Slough. What is? And this anonymous text says, isn't there a difference between an American billion and a UK billion? Yes, there is. Well, there used to be, certainly. I think an American billion used to be 1,000 million, and a British billion, because we were better and bigger than America, most certainly. Americans used to have to only try and get by on 1,000 million. We Brits got by on 1 million, which is one bigger. But then in these straitened times, a billion in this country is also 1,000 million, because we have gone in line with America, because that's freedom. Doing what other countries tell us to do. Freedom. And we've got a lot of it. Tom says, just wondering about your throat. Have the carpets been cleaned in your broom cupboard? I'm sure you had a problem like that before. Well, either I am hallucinating or I've read that one already. Which is it? Maidstone. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Nicky, yes, the phone, you're on my mind, eh, Nicky?
Yes.
Yes. No. Can I just say, I'm very glad, because especially the first hour of yesterday's show, you get all these experts who think they know the remedy to your... But I think it was Jan. Love Jan. But when she said cabbage juice... Oh,
God.
Oh, I know, but...
She didn't just say cabbage juice. She said... I know she said gargle with cabbage juice. Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's just quite fun. I did suggest a Strepsil, which I thought was quite reasonable. But, yeah, but I'm glad your voice is better, because it did dominate the show a little bit yesterday.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you seem a bit better tonight. Anyway,
thanks.
That's all right. Let's get down to business. Now, I know you say America, it's America, in my opinion. Now, I was just looking at BBC News, because I've been catching up with a lot of stuff this week, and 17 things Donald Trump has done. One stood out to me. Now, unfortunately, unless he dies before 2028, which I can't see happening, he is going to love the Olympic Games, which is being held in Los Angeles, America.
Yeah. Why are you saying America?
Oh, it's just, you say America, but it's just America.
How are you spelling core?
Oh, God.
As in short.
Okay,
Wait a minute. As in short of corporation, or CAW, or COR, or what?
That's how Americans say it, isn't it? America.
No, they don't. I've never heard an American say that.
Okay, yeah, anyway, so one of the things that he's come up with, he signed an executive order on Wednesday that prevents transgender women from competing in female categories of sport. But this sort of relates to largely around high school, university and grassroots sport.
Yeah.
Now, he has said... Now, I get the impression that if there is a great transgender able to compete that could get a gold medal, he's allowing that. But if there's any other transgender, this is what I read from it, any other transgenders who wants to compete in the Olympic Games in 2028 in Los Angeles, that he's going to try and refuse their visas. Now, I think the Olympic Committee, it's not going to happen, but they would have the power. I don't think the Olympics should be held in Los Angeles in 2028, and they could actually do something about it, but they won't, will they? They were not going to...
Why shouldn't it be held in Los Angeles in 2028? It might not be on fire.
Well, it probably will be. But, but it's just, with what's going on right now, and, I'm not
well, okay, he is alarming, but I don't think he's got anything to do with the Olympic Games. I mean, he'll try and make it all about him. Of course he will. But, people aren't tuning in to see Donald Trump lumbering about the stage. They're tuning in to see the best of humankind.
Yeah, which I love, and I love the Olympic Games, and he won't have. But I do think I think this is a bit concerning in regards to I do get some sports that transgenders. I do understand that, especially for female categories. I do understand that in some sort of way, but it just seems to me that he may allow some Americans to do it. But
well, where did you get that from? He's going to allow... he will only allow you as a transgender athlete to compete in... Oh, God, here we go. Compete in a category that you weren't born to, but only if you're going to win a medal?
Well, no, for Americans, but he's saying that he's going to deny visas for transgender Olympic athletes trying to visit the US.
Right.
To compete.
Right,
And
well, I did not know that.
He won't.
And I'm absolutely certain that I do not want to get into a conversation about that issue on this show.
But are Russia allowed to compete yet in the Olympics? They come in neutral, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that some of their athletes are allowed to compete, but not under the Russian flag. I think that's how they work around that.
Well,
which is kind of odd, because there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of Russian athletes.
Yeah, and the Olympic Games is the best sport in the world. I like it. Britain normally does all right.
I don't really care what it is that's on the Olympics, what kind of sport it is, with the possible exception of basketball, because, and cricket and football and tennis and all of those things which you can see at any other time of the year, they shouldn't be part of the Olympics. Everybody knows that. But anything else, I don't really care what it is. I'm going to watch it if it's got the Olympic Games, the rings appended to it.
What's your favourites? I like swimming, athletics. I like gymnastics.
Well, the last couple of times around, the event that really amazed me the most, because I can't stand it in real life, was skateboarding. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, the skateboarding thing, and the bike version of snowboard cross, where 5 competitors go around a course at the same time. In the Winter Games, it really is brilliant, because it's 5 kids essentially falling down a mountain with their shoes glued to tea trays, fighting with each other. It's just brilliant. But they've got a bike version of that for the Summer Games, and I really like that.
Yeah, but even though you might not like, that's why I love the Olympics. You might not like some of the sports normally, but the talent is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's the best of us. That's right. It's what human beings can do that is most like monkeys. Thanks a lot, Tony. 0345 6060 973. Carl says, did you ever look into the tongue of a woodpecker from a couple of weeks ago? Did you ever look into the tongue of a woodpecker from a couple of weeks ago? Wow. What a sentence. That's probably the first time that sentence has ever been uttered out loud. Did you ever look into the tongue of a woodpecker from a couple of weeks ago?
I didn't, but I wish I did.
Yeah, I wish I did too. Oh, can you imagine? I wonder what colour it is. I'm going to think it's black. Anyway, he says the conclusive proof of evolution is an odd thing to see. Also, forget the young ones. Bottom is the best and represents the last of the best of British slapstick. Rick Mail is undeniably this country's most underrated export. We've exported him? I don't think Rick Mail... I can't imagine that Rick Mail has achieved much as an export. He's, like, quintessentially British to me. I can't imagine his comedy travels much, but then what do I know? Bottom. I never saw Bottom. It just looked a bit too stupid for me. So, no, I didn't see it. Guys hitting each other over the head. I mean, if I want to see that, then I would have watched The Three Stooges, but I never thought they were particularly funny either. No, give me the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy all day long. Oh, my God, look at the size of that tongue. Why does it need a tongue that big? That's not necessary. And rude, apart from anything else. Put that away. Nobody wants to see that. It's just sticking its tongue out like, like it's not got a care in the world. That tongue is as long as its body. With a tongue that long, it could sing for Kiss. 0345 6060 973. Bath. Hello, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
I was just thinking, it's quite interesting that a lot of your callers yesterday seem to have done night courses in homeopathy and chemistry.
Yes, that's right. They're all experts, yeah.
That seems to be. The other thing I wanted to say to you, I don't know what the term is. You're, dare I call him a receptionist? You can never put me on again. Knows the phrase. But you know when dart players play darts, sometimes they're unable to throw the dart. Something occurs. There's something that happens after years of playing it, that their hand is unable to throw the dart anymore.
Oh, you mean it's like...
It's not repetitive strain injury.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with. Repetitive strain injury.
But your colleague there knows the actual name of what it is.
All right, well, I'll bring him into the conversation, yes?
Dartitis.
Dartitis? Rubbish.
Oh, God, no. No wonder I couldn't remember it. Anyway, now I was just wondering, your coffee yesterday, is it possible that after this many years of dutiful service, you might be allergic to radio?
To speaking, yeah.
Yeah, well, it might be. I mean, I don't know. You opened the window, it seemed to work.
Well, I've got the window open now. Can you hear it in the background?
I can.
A little bit, yeah. There's a thrum of machinery out there. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm either going to have to live with it just today, to get over yesterday. And I know
it did make me laugh though. That all of the people giving you advice.
Thanks. My pain causes you amusement. I'm here to amuse you.
Honestly, not in that way. It was just because everyone seemed to have studied some homeopathy course or something. It was like, put this together: eggs, ginger, and tarmac. And, whatever it was.
Tincture of tarmac. Yeah.
Anyway, look after yourself.
All right, certainly will. Thanks a lot, John. That is good advice. Not that it's got anything to do with him. What's it got to do with you? Andy says, have you brought in olive... Oh, here we go. Have you brought in olive oil, a tot of brandy, a zest of lemon, a pinch of black pepper, and all the other various ingredients that were suggested by people last night in case you have another coughing fit? No, I didn't bring any of that in. I've got some fresh, delicious water. Let's see how that goes. And John says, my son just changed his Audi for a Porsche. The insurance dropped incredibly. You're joking. Blimey. The insurance dropped when he switched an Audi for a Porsche. You're supposed to say Porsche like that because, people in the know get very upset if you just say Porsche. I used to, on a radio station I used to work at a long time ago, that we had a prize that was something as lame as a day, like an hour or two in a Porsche, going around a track. Not the actual car itself, you just got to use it for an hour. And me, in my ignorance, I would be, I'd all the time be saying Porsche. The looks on their faces. The absolute fury. It's not Porsche, stupid. It's Porsche. Well, it might be in Germany. We're not in Germany now, I thought. But didn't say. 0345 6060 973. Oh, I got very bad news, by the way. It's the end of civilization as we know it. Nothing big. And Donald Trump's done something stupid. Can you believe that?
Yes.
So I'll come to all of that and more.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Labour infighting has erupted over immigration as panicking MPs have demanded action to counter the reform of surge. Close. The surge of reform. Yeah, almost, but not quite. The Labour Party is freaking out, ladies and gentlemen. Anxiety is deepening over the threat from Nigel Farage's outfit, with polls suggesting the parties are now neck and neck.
Oh, no.
Well, why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't people trust a man who did nothing that I can think of at all for his constituents while taking a salary as an MEP and appears to be doing nothing at all for his constituents as an MP for Clacton? Good idea. Let's get him to do nothing at all for all of the citizens of the United Kingdom by making him Prime Minister. Excellent thought.
I'm a nutcase.
Some of the nearly 90 Labour MPs where reform came second at the election are pressuring Skier to respond. They're said to be focused on measures to bring down legal and illegal immigration, including but not limited to deporting more people. And if that doesn't work, we could set up floggings, maybe. Mass floggings. Mass floggings of the liberal wokerati. Anybody with a rainbow on their social media profile. No! And if that doesn't work, hangings. Hangings too good for them. Flogging, then hanging. And if that doesn't see off the threat of a Farage takeover, then maybe blowing random boats up in the channel. Doesn't really matter as long as they're small. Labour, as you know, has been struggling to find an effective strategy against, not just reform, but anybody, really, themselves. I mean, I would have thought that everything that Farage and his mini-me's say and do would have been enough to turn people off. But, we're in interesting times, by which I mean we appear to be living in a combination of The Matrix, The Muppets, and those documentaries on the History Channel about the men with the armbands and the boots.
Oh, no.
There's so much that reminds me of that. Donald Trump has just taken over a museum. I mean, if that doesn't remind you of the you-know-who, then I don't know what does. He's only going to have exhibitions now that reflect his personal taste. The taste of the regime. All that artsy-fartsy nonsense, that's right out. It's as though they're using the History Channel as a guide to governing. Senior figures believe that the Brexit champion's previous stance on watering down the NHS could be a weak point. Yeah, and it might be, if the NHS was in a state that people could rely on. I mean, that's the reason that Farage and Trump got popular. Nothing that people used to rely on is reliable anymore. And people are easily led, and they believe that people who speak in terms that they can understand. Vote for me, and everything will be tremendous, they say. And people think, oh, I'd like things to be tremendous, and you don't have to say another word. You've got my vote, they'll say. I mean, just ask yourself, do you want Elon Musk deciding on what healthcare or benefits you get? Because Farage seems to be attached by the lips to Donald Trump, and Trump appears to do whatever Elon Musk tells him. So that's the choice. Do you patriotically want to give our country away to an overgrown Oompa Loompa and his dead-eyed sidekick? One MP involved in the informal pressure group told The Guardian there is a major focus now on how to beat reform. Just get on with doing the governing part, for crying out loud. Beat other parties later. You don't need to do that now. He said various groups have been set up and we've been talking to Downing Street about what works. One of our major messages to the leadership is that we need to do more on illegal migration. No, that's not going to make any difference to the people you're trying to attract. They don't care whether it's illegal or legal. What difference does it make? They want fewer foreigners around their way. Actually, it's sort of worse than that, because mostly they live in places like Clacton where there are no foreigners, apart from the man behind the counter at the Indian takeaway in what's left of the high street. Which is why it's so odd that people like Kemi Badnoch and Priti Patel and Cruella Braverman bang on about immigration so much. Do they really think that the people they're trying to attract would differentiate between someone who'd just come in by boat and those three if they were loading people on a plane? I mean, if they were on the tarmac and Kemi Badnoch and Priti Patel and Cruella Braverman were with a crowd full of people who want fewer foreigners around their way, and they were waving immigrants onto the plane, do you think that the crowd would want Priti and Cruella and Kemi on that plane too? It's not the legal status they're objecting to. Former frontbencher Clive Lewis said Labour MPs calling for tougher immigration policies to counter reform are missing the point. He said, without a fundamental shift in who the economy and society work for, this approach won't stem the tide.
Correct.
By Jove, I think he's got it. He said the real battle is over who offers meaningful change. And right now, too many feel that isn't Labour. Yes. But, you know, it's early. They can't mend a country that's just gone through 14 years of being smashed to bits in a few months, but they can start telling us where they're going and start painting a brighter future. Tell us what you're doing. Don't just do it and hope we'll catch up. Show the way. Light the path. Talk less about growth and more about how we will share in the growth. There's no point in promising growth if the wealth created just goes straight up to the executive floors and then out of the window to the people who have wealth managers. I mean, don't go on about 20-odd thousand people arriving damp and disoriented in a dinghy. Go on about multinational corporations making billions of pounds and paying nothing back to the country that enabled them to do that. Go on about the super rich who only exist as clouds of mist for tax purposes. Go on about that instead of some amorphous idea about growth, fairness, redistribution, decency. That's what it should be about. And the Clacton gasbag can go on about how he loves Donald Trump to an audience of American misfits who don't know who he is, while claiming to be representing nowhere on the world stage 3,000 miles away. It's a comms problem, apart from anything else. It also appears to be, to me, to be a problem that they don't really know. They're like a dog who just caught a car. I mean, they were really super keen to catch the car, but now they got it, they don't know what to do with it. I mean, I am being a little bit unkind, but to be obsessed now, at this stage, about beating reform in another 4 years, I mean, come on. And here's the poll that had them freaking out. This is a YouGov poll of the beginning of the month. Reform are on 25%, Labour are on 24%. Conservatives on 21, Lib Dems on 14, and the groovy Greenies on 9.
Yowza.
You go, Greenies. But I'm just curious as to where that 25% for reform comes from. I mean, based on what? Based on closely reading their manifesto? Or them just saying that vote for us and everything will be fantastic? Just curious, that's all. I'm just asking questions. Tom says, people in classic Jaguars are the worst type of driver. They're very annoying people. No, that's not true. People in classic cars aren't annoying because they're driving something that is so delicate. They don't want to do anything sudden. You know, like moving away from the lights That sort of thing. No, I disagree. And they drive so slowly, even if they are in a Jag. People in classic Jaguars are the worst type of driver. Very annoying people, says Tom. Well, the amount of people in a classic Jaguar that you would come across on a daily basis must average 0. So he has something very specific in mind. He doesn't mean people, he means a person that he has just come across who annoyed him greatly. Probably by driving 20 in a 20 zone. You know, one of those people. This anonymous text says, Streatham is like one giant job centre from the 1970s. Well, I went to a job centre in the 1970s, and I can tell you that Streatham is considerably nicer than that. Not a lot nicer, right enough, but it is nicer, Streatham. I'd rather be in Streatham than a job centre in the 1970s. Having been in a job centre in the 1970s several times. Carton texts, does Streatham Ice Rink still smell of sick? Oh. Well, does Streatham still have an ice rink? Who goes to an ice rink? Unless it's at one of those Christmas fairs. An ice rink? That sounds like a text from the 1970s. And Quay says, I'm an Audi driver, but my car does not serve cocktails. That was an add-on. Oh. Right, you had to specifically ask for that to get built in at the factory. Right, I get it. Anne says, have you noticed anything in particular about Skoda drivers? I've just got a Skoda and love it, says Anne. No, I haven't. As a matter of fact, I have not. No. So enjoy, Anne, with my my approval. Let's have Edgeware. Hello, Alice.
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
Yes, Alice.
My question is, why are you so anti-Trump?
Why am I so anti-Trump?
Yeah.
Because of everything he says and does.
Are you more capable of judging him than anybody else? Who are you? What is your qualification to judge him?
What is my qualification to judge him? I'm a human being. What qualifications do I need?
Well, what is your educational background?
What?
Educational background.
What is my educational background?
Yeah.
Do I have to have achieved a certain standard of education in order to criticise somebody?
You have no right to criticize an elected leader of the free country.
What?
He's elected, duly elected by the people of the United States.
Well, some might believe that. Yeah, I beg to differ.
And you don't. You don't understand politics, do you?
I do. What is it about politics that I need to understand in order to criticise Donald Trump?
Well, he's a president.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
You are not aware of it. And
no, I am aware of it.
Due respect to a president.
I should respect a president.
Yes.
I should respect the office of the President of the United States of America.
Yes.
Well, I will when he does. How does that sound?
Who are you? Who are you, I'm asking you?
What?
Just because you have a mic in front of you and a captive audience to listen to your rubbish?
No, it's not a captive audience. They can tune me out any time they like.
But you day in and day out, you get on to, you are paid very too well.
What?
You live comfortably and talk rubbish.
That sounds like a plan. Live comfortably and talk rubbish.
Yeah.
I'll do my very best. Is your name actually Alice?
Yeah. It doesn't matter who the name is.
Right. Okay. Can I call you Alice?
You can call me anything you like.
Right.
Call me Trump if you like.
Just as long as I call you. Okay. I'll give you a ring when I'm off the air. We'll have a chat then. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay. Note of resignation in his voice. He's like, oh, okay. I'll pencil you in. Pencil you in for later on. I'm just going to check my diary, see if I'm free. That was Alice. I understood some of that, not all. And probably vice versa for him or her. No idea. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. I do a best of podcast called the Nick Abbott Habit. I'm thinking of putting that call in it this week. It comes out on a Monday. It's 30 minutes of concentrated amusement. It's clips of old shows, and every now and again I put a clip of a brand new show in just to, shake it up a bit. But I'm going to be thinking very strongly about putting that call in. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. Comes out on a Monday. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. The Nick Abbott Habit. 0345 6060 973. Jerry texts, I'm not drunk enough yet to fully appreciate your wonderful nonsense and silly noises. I'll update you in an hour if I manage to stay awake. That's the plan, Jerry.
Booze.
Yeah, keep me updated. Liverpool, hello, Vincent.
Hello, Nicky. You all right, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
I just thought I'd give you a quick one before I go to Plymouth. Right.
Plymouth?
Hey, Plymouth. Well, Liverpool are playing tomorrow.
Oh, right.
I hope it's still under 6 still. Anyway, apart from that, Nick, to be honest, jokes aside, nothing you said, people are coming in, 20,000 on Zingy. Do you think that's every hour? Do you think that affects the country, don't it?
Every hour? Yeah, it would
Every
affect it
hour.
if it was every hour, yeah.
Depending if the life goes on. Don't you think it affects this country?
No, not really.
Well, have you looked out the window lately, Nick? To be honest,
Yeah, it's awful out there.
I'll tell you what, it's freezing as well, you know. We've got an hour coat on you. It's not that cheap here at school. To be honest, Nick, it's hilarious, mate.
Can you believe that they're dragging their feet about Mo Salah? So at this point, they're still dragging their feet about Mo Salah. Just give him all the money he needs and keep him there, keep him where he is.
He wasn't as good as me. Do you know what the manager said? You know what the manager said? Hang on there. So I brought Stephen Hawkins on before me. I must have been rubbish, much like to be honest.
Right, okay, I heard some of that. Stephen Hawkins was in there somewhere. Almost certainly a joke. Excellent work there, Vincent. Thanks a lot, and good luck with the game tomorrow. I don't think you'll need it. No luck required. Unless... Nick says, a traditional Cornish remedy is... oh, God, here we go with the remedies again. Is whiskey and honey and enough to make you forget feeling poorly. The honey is optional. That's nice. The honey is optional. I did think the other day that... because I bought some cough mixture for my throat. And it did occur to me that it would be fantastic mixed with whiskey. But I wasn't sure that it would be, that the medical profession would approve. But because cough mixture is really, really sweet, and it has a certain earthiness to it, which I think would go very, very well with whiskey. Shake it up with some ice. Put a plastic straw in it. Bob's your uncle. I want to talk about straws, and I want to talk about the imminent death of every species on this planet. Nobody seems to be remotely bothered about that, and much else besides. Unless I get sidetracked, which is possible, in fact, probable. Kevin says definitely Area 51, Nick. If I am incorrect, then I give you permission to shoot me. Says Kevin. Well, stand right there just in case. Nick says, a traditional no, read that. Peter says, all this West Bank malarkey will soon dissipate when Donny realises that the Gaza Strip is not the name of a club.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's broken the news to him. Your husband is addicted to strippers, Melania.
I don't care.
She really doesn't. 0345 6060 973. Tavistock. Hello, Rose. Rose. Too late. Lara says, lovely to hear you got your voice back. It's my birthday tomorrow. Your birthday! It's the grand old age of 64. I guess that deserves the long version, being as how you've been alive so long and all. Lara says, could I have a happy birthday? Thank you, says Lara. No, Lara, thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe I gave it to you twice. Fran says, following on from the Lego story being anti-LGBT last night, did you see that surfboards are sexist now? You've got to be kidding me. No, I did not see that surfboards are sexist, and it's not LGBT. There are several other letters in there that I can't remember right now with a plus on the end. Which, I do remind you, I am outraged at on behalf of all the pluses. Whoever comes up with this stuff couldn't be bothered to give a letter to. Imagine that. Imagine being so insignificant to the people that come up with all these letters that they think, oh, I can't be bothered with it or all the rest. We'll just put plus. They'll be all right with that. Well, no, I'm sure they're not. Surfboards. One moment, please. I must get full details on this. Sexist. Now, my mind is spinning. Are surfboards designed for female bodies? Sexism in surfboards. In surfing. Are surfboards designed for women? It's a board. One moment. Would you like to... No. I don't want you to take my cookies or give me cookies. I don't want cookies of any kind. Thank you very much. And I don't want to be taken to your home. My parents warned me about that. And I don't want any of the things that you are offering me right now. Why can't I just look at the blooming article, for crying out loud? Okay, here we go. Oh, join our community. Learn more about what we do. No, thank you. For this year's boards, barbecue... OK, well, I'm seeing the headline of the story, but I can't get to the story itself because of a blizzard of questions and queries and quizzes that you've got to take before you can look at anything these days. And it's all because of the European Union. That is getting very old, by the way. Really old. I mean, rather than having to express your preference about how much you accept from these people every time you open a blooming website, you should be able to decline everything with one button. Because some of them make it really difficult. I mean, some, okay, they say you can reject all by pressing this button, but they hide the reject all button and they colour in a primary tone the accept all button. And so you're most inclined to press the button that you can see the most clearly. But other companies, you have to go through this great list of things. And would you like us to, for our chums, to email you on a regular basis? No, thank you. And you have to do about 40 of them. You get to the bottom of the page and think, oh, thank God for that. And then it says, and here are the other lists. There's another page of lists that you have to either okay or not. It's just too much. I can't stand it anymore. I'm not complaining, though.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
But there should just be one thing that follows you around wherever you go. No thank you. Appreciate it, but no thanks. Whoever you are. If I want you to email me on a regular basis about your latest offers or whatever the hell it is that you do for a living, then I will tell you. I will opt in. Don't assume that I'm going to opt in until I tell you otherwise. It's getting very annoying, that. Patricia texts, the answer is 42. The answer to what? 6 8s. 6 8s are 42. Any fool know that. But that's probably not why Patricia was giving me that. It's 42. I have no idea what that's in relation to. 6 8s are 42. I mean, that's just maths, that is. That's easy. Any idiot knows that. I am determined to get to the bottom of why surfboards are sexist. But I do recall from last night's show that Legos are anti-LGBT, several other letters, and then a plus on the end. I am aware of that. I'm not sure I really understood it, even though I read the story out loud at length. I still didn't understand it, but I'm willing to believe that that is true until proven otherwise. You've got to prove otherwise these days. It's like you've got to opt in or out, depending. Now I've even lost myself. I don't know what's going on this show, and I'm doing it. You believe that? Nobody should listen to this programme. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone, 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC.
Care what this guy say?
No! And I can't stand him.
Where am I? Oh, yeah, Leslie texts, very small print, but please look up what Donald Trump said about his plans for a new air traffic control system. My 2-year-old grandson makes more sense than this. And here it is. I don't think I can read all of it because it would just take too long. But I'll give you a flavour. He was asked about plans for a new traffic air control system. And he makes more sense in this than another answer to, God, what was it? I can't remember. His answer was so off topic and so rambling and such a word salad. It was as though somebody was picking out letters from a Scrabble bag and just assembling them in some kind of order. It was utterly, completely and totally random. He has absolutely no idea what he's saying anymore. He's just making noise. Noise and numbers signifying nothing.
Don't be rude.
He said, in answer to the question, what are his plans for a new air traffic control system? He said, we're all going to sit down and do a great computerized system for our control towers. Brand new. Not pieced together, obsolete like it is land-based. Trying to hook up a land-based system to a satellite system, the first thing that some experts told me when this happened is you can't hook up land to satellites and you can't hook up satellites to land. It doesn't work. Okay, first of all, yes, it does. Satellites hook up to land all the time. I watch Sky TV on a satellite dish. It's attached to land. He said, we spend billions and billions of dollars trying to renovate an old broken system instead of just saying, cut it loose and let's spend less money and build a great system done by 2 or 3 companies, very good companies, specialists, that's all it is. They use 39 companies. That means that 39 different hookups have to happen, and I don't know how many people of you are good in terms of all the kind of things necessary for that. And it's very complex stuff, yeah. I'm going to have to bow out a bit there because it just goes on and on and on. And none of it makes any sense. But, you know, it takes up a lot of time, and then nobody can ask him any more questions because it's time for the president to go have his afternoon nap or whatever it is that he does during the rest of the day when he's not putting his big boy squiggle on pieces of paper that are randomly shoved in front of his face. Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
There you are.
Well, you tried to talk to me because my phone just suddenly went quiet. That's all I knew.
Well, that's very
right.
suspicious.
Well, it is, isn't it? Something doesn't want me to talk to you. I didn't realise you'd even come through. Could I just, before I speak, quickly correct something I said last night? This chap I know who said he's got this son who listens to LBC, he's in Perth, Australia, not... I suddenly remembered I should have said that, really. Anthony in Perth, Australia. But never mind, that is. I'm rambling. It's when you... it's when you... Are you laughing at me, or is something more interesting going on?
No, well, you just said you're rambling, and that made me laugh, because I thought, yeah. You're telling me about somebody I don't know who lives in a place that I can't remember, but it's not where I can't remember, it's somewhere where you just said. Right, okay, got it.
Never mind. Anthony in Perth, Australia,
right.
Yes. Well, we'll forget all about that. It's just that when you spoke about how...
Has your phone on the fritz again?
Well, there's some strange noise going on, but I can hear you perfectly well.
Right.
So as long as you can hear me.
Coming through clear as a bell. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just had to ring because I just feel exactly the same. about... Well, I'll put it this way. I was born not terribly long after the end of the war. And about a week ago, when I was hearing all these things, I just thought, I don't feel afraid. I just feel terrible grief. It's just as though we've sort of zoomed, you know, like a helter-skelter. We've zoomed right back.
Yeah.
I remember this sense... I remember picking it up from my parents, and we didn't have money, but there was this feeling of hope, and anything could happen, we could do anything, you know, and it was with the shadow of the war, because not Pa, but Mum talked about it a lot, but it was all over. And the thing is, I know we're not looking at a war necessarily, but everything that we fought it for is coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, these signs, one after another, and people are just ignoring it.
Well, it's not a coincidence. It's because that's their playbook. Their playbook appears to be Adolf Hitler's speeches. I mean, we know that Donald Trump used to read Adolf Hitler's speeches. That he says that somebody gave him that book, but there was a famous profile of him that spotted that book, Adolf Hitler's speeches, on Donald Trump's nightstand. So it was his nighttime reading. And everything that's happened since does suggest that he has taken a lot of lessons from somebody who very successfully took over a country. And it's all, exactly. I mean, you can just tick off each and every one of them. First, they came for the teachers. Well, J.D. Vance said himself, he said it out loud, professors are the enemy, is what he said.
Jesus, good God.
And so they've come for the teachers, and they're going to defund universities that don't teach the history that they like, and anything that is remotely woke is going to be right out. So they're going to take money from universities in order to make them, toe the party line. And then the second thing they go for is journalists, and Donald Trump has been doing that ever since he started the campaign trail. The first time around, the journalists, the fake news, which, by the way, is the English translation of the Luden press, which was what Hitler used to call them. I mean, it's just a straight translation. And now, and then they came for the artists, of course, because, the wokerati will tell you, will express in art how they feel about the way the society is going. So that's right out. And Donald Trump has just installed himself as the chair of the Kennedy Center Art Center, and has said that only exhibitions that he approves of will pass muster from this moment on. And I think next will be comedians.
And it's, you see, the thing is, what's really, really worrying is it's this mild, appeasing attitude. You see, it's normalisation. We've noticed it through the 14 years of Tory rule. Absolutely anything, Nick, can be normalised. We could have, I mean, you said mass floggings, but it's funny, it's strange, because for a few years now I've been saying, I swear to God, we'll normalise public executions in the end.
It's funny you should say that. Funny you should say that.
People say, well, there it is, like that man who said he's the president.
Right. Funny you should say that, because I have been expecting, I mean, I'll predict a few things. By maybe not the end of this year, but okay, I'll stick my neck out. By the end of this year, there will be some sort of nationally televised public execution in America.
Oh, in America? Yeah,
in America,
sure.
Yeah.
My God.
And Donald Trump is not going to leave office at the end of this term. Whether there is a fist of an election, whether they make it appear as though there is kind of like Russia, where they have an election in inverted commas and come to big surprise, Vladimir Putin wins every time. It might be that, or they might just think we don't need that anymore. I mean, they've been saying it out loud for so long. Do you remember Donald Trump when he was talking to the Christian evangelists? He said, my beautiful Christians, just vote for me this once. After this time, we're going to fix it, and you won't need to vote again. I mean, he's incapable of keeping a secret, and so he just keeps blurting out the truth. Right, on stage he does it.
He throws out these signs. And Nick, I actually looked inside a newspaper the first time for ages the other day, and I saw this great face of Musk I mean, it's more than flesh and blood can stand, Nick. There is nothing there. There's nothing behind the eyes. It's as hard as nails, and that is not a compliment. We used to talk about people being hard as nails, and it wasn't a compliment then. Have you ever seen Trump smile? Again,
all the time.
There's nothing behind the face.
No, well,
it's a mask.
Yes,
Something
he's a
has
TV
smashed
star.
all the humanity out of them.
Right.
Something has smashed their humanity out of them. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Right. Well, I don't care what it is.
No, I don't care
just
which it is either.
prefer they weren't inflicting us with their personal purple nightmare.
We're being ruled by sort of non-humans, I think.
Well, that would explain a lot. That would explain a lot. I'm not sure that's actually accurate, but I think somebody should be looking into that very strongly, Rose.
There's no humanity in there, is there?
Yeah. All right. Well, what could possibly go wrong?
Possibly go wrong.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, my dear. Chin up. It might never oh, no, that's right. It already has. Yeah. I mean, you just tick down the list of the types of people that the regime will go for. And it's the exact same playbook. Teachers first, journalists second, anybody that can tell you the truth, that can tell you that what the dear leader just said is not true. Artists, they're up for the chop. And I betcha, comedians are next. By the end of the year, I would expect a rain shower of lawsuits coming down against comedians who have made fun of the dear leader. Now, it doesn't matter whether any of those lawsuits actually have merit. It's going to cost the people a lot of money to defend themselves against lawsuits that even have no merit. That's the beauty of being so rich, is that you can spend an unlimited amount of money on lawfare. And by shutting up the comedians, then that will be pretty much the whole country sewn up, because nobody will be able to tell you the truth anymore. I mean, the major media organisations have prostrated themselves in front of Trump and barely seem capable of writing a bad word against him. I mean, even in this country, the right-wing press in this country are now the Trump fanzines. Mostly trying to tell us that what he just said isn't what he just meant. You know, like the Gaza plan. Top 10 reasons why Donald Trump's Gaza plan is the best idea that anybody has ever had. In the Telegraph. Stuff like that. It is quite alarming. I mean, I am glad that there is at least 3,000 miles between them and us. But, of course, what happens there affects not just Americans, it affects all of the rest of the world, but us specifically, because we have extricated ourselves from the big gang in Europe and are bobbing about on the sea, friendless and desperate. And a trade deal with him, why would any country in their right mind want to negotiate a trade deal with Donald Trump, who has just proved, again, that no deal that even he signs is worth the paper it's printed on? Because he just tears it up on a whim, says this is a very, very bad deal, this country is being very, very mean to us, and now I'm going to slap tariffs on them, or I'm going to use America as a weapon against them. I mean, you just have to think in terms of children in a playground, because that's the level we're at. Children in a playground. And he's the big bully who's just been released from Borstal, and he's swinging his arms around, seeing who he can hit. Now, would you rather be in a gang or on your own, hoping he doesn't pick on you? 0345... Oh, and there is something that's heading our way, which you may have read about, that is going to make all of this moot. Nothing to do with cows.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Right, so what are we doing?
Gibbon, we are doing a radio show, but it does remind me I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Yeah.
Now, Carol is off on her jolly hollies, but she's almost never not on her jolly hollies, so it's almost like a travelogue, the podcast at the moment. But the idea is that we solve people's problems. She'll do it on the beach, and I'll do it in the damp, mouldy room, the garret that I call home. Not like I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
It's a problem-solving podcast. If you've got an issue or a dilemma or something you've always wondered about, then leave it to the unprofessionals. Simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
We've been doing it for over 5 years. I cannot believe that. Blimey, don't time fly when you're out your mind. And there's over 300 episodes. And I do believe that you will find them amusing. It is funny stuff, even though I say it myself. We do set each other off. It's a laugh. And so if you want to tune out from, all of this, then it's a politics-free podcast, specifically designed to be that. So it's just an amusement. And if you have time in your day to be amused, then ask for it on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Now then, let's have Epping. Archie.
Hiya, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I just wanted to deconstruct a couple points you made earlier on the show. I'm quite a young lad myself. I'm only sort of 19. And although Trump as a person, as you say, is despicable, I do think it's potentially starting a movement over here in the UK, hence the Gov poll results being 25%. And I think a lot of young people my age are starting to want change. And I think you banded illegal immigration and general immigration into the same kind of bucket earlier on. And I think that's wrong. I think to have a problem with immigration is not Reform's aim or not anyone with my aim. It's illegal immigration and undocumented immigration that's the problem.
It's so small, though. It's not really even a problem. A million people came in with the correct papers, 1 million a year.
Yeah.
It's about 30,000 by boat. You're really concentrating on the 30,000, not the million? I don't believe you.
Yeah, I mean, look, as I say, immigration's not a huge problem, and I get it's a common talking point, but I also don't think it's Reform's only point of entry. I think some of the movements Trump has, especially around gender identity and kind of, I think we've gone too far. I hate to use the word woke because it kind of melts my argument a bit, but saying there's two genders in this day and age is not controversial, and I genuinely think people have had enough of corporate companies and businesses getting away with media tripe and pushing for something no one really agrees in.
Corporate companies, you think that you think that the media is against Trump?
No. I think everyone is kind of going along with the point that we have limitless identity and limitless sort of gender roles and all this kind of stuff. And
right, but that's also, I mean, that's even less important a point to most people's everyday life than illegal immigration.
Sure, but it's still a valid point to raise, and I think it highlights a bigger picture.
But how has that impacted you, though, Archie?
Well, I just think it shows the direction of this country. It hasn't impacted me directly.
Right,
but
so why did you bring that up second, then?
Well, because it's a secondary point, but I think within sports or, swimming, Leah Thomas, for example, in America completely dominates female sports, and I believe that's completely unfair.
Well, I don't know who that is, but it is interesting that you bring the two things, really, that most people would associate with reform, neither of which really are the kind of things that would change people's lives in this country. It's just such small beer. It's picking up something that will needle people and saying, vote for me and I will solve this problem. But they're not really problems. If you want to be, if you're concerned about immigration, then be concerned about legal immigration, because it's such a lot more people. And I just don't buy.
Why would I have a problem with legal immigration?
I don't buy it. People have a problem with immigration when they see a lot of foreigners up their way, or they're concerned that a lot of foreigners will come round their way. They do not think, gosh, I wonder if that person has the correct papers. I don't believe that. It's not a difference between legal and illegal. It's just, do I appreciate the presence of foreigners? And mostly mostly it's people who don't have foreigners around them. I mean, if you look at the list of places where Reform did, or the Brexit Party did well, or people voted for Brexit, it's where there are hardly any foreigners. I mean, Clacton is about 98.9% white.
Yeah. But, I've had it start. I live in Sheffield, and that's a very affluent part of the country as well. But I think, as I say, the problem more is that crimes as well. You have illegal immigrants. Where I live with my family in Essex, there's a hotel which I won't name, but it has fully stocked with illegal immigrants, and regularly the local Tesco's is shoplifted from, and it doesn't make environments and communities very nice, and there's nothing we can do about it because they're completely undocumented.
Yeah, people aren't staying in hotels if they're illegal immigrants unless they're being processed for asylum.
But they're not being processed because the Home Office backlog is too long.
Right, okay, well then complain to the Conservative Party.
Or that's not the Home Office in power.
Okay, all right. Well, they're doing their best to clean up the catastrophic mess, this smouldering ruin of a country that the Tories have left them to deal with over 14 years of misrule. I don't think it's particularly fair at this moment to blame a party that's trying to put it back together again. It's much more difficult to put something back together than to smash it up, as you know.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, so...
But then, using the America example, you've got someone like Elon Musk and his branch of government being the Department of Government Efficiency. In all truth, I think it's what this country needs. Look at Elon Musk to go into a company like Twitter, now X, reduce its staff base by about 80%, massively increase its efficiency. You've got a lot of civil servants in this country that
he didn't increase its efficiency. He just decreased its ability to function as it used to do. How did he increase its efficiency?
Well, it's still on the same kind of upload that it is with 20% of the staff. It just shows that
that's completely untrue. There used to be, all of those staff that he fired used to be regulators of content in a lot of cases. And there is no regulator of content on Twitter anymore. And you compare it as it is now to how it used to be, and it's just a right-wing bot fest on Twitter. If you can gut staff from an organisation, and the organisation can still exist, but you cannot say that it's the gutting of the staff that has made it more efficient, because you are not comparing two things that are the same.
But financially it's more efficient.
Well, not really, because it's not making any money.
Well, but it's reduced its outcost, and it is, of course, it's making money. It's the third largest social media platform in the world.
How much money did it make last year?
Oh, I couldn't.
You've got absolutely no idea. Yeah. No, it's not making any money at all. Twitter makes no money.
It's made no stock increase, but it's still early doors in it. I'm saying, let's irrelevant around financials. We need efficiency in our government. We need to reduce the number of staff, get people in that are actually going to, do some work.
That sounds great. That sounds abysmal, absolutely incredible that is happening, and that you're supporting that. That rather suggests to me the 19-year-olds going through people's social security, going through people's pensions, going through. We have absolutely no idea what they're doing in there. They could be helping them. They could be helping themselves to.
A 45-year-old has the right to do that more?
No, of course not.
So what's your point? Is it?
Well, you brought up their age, Archie.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying they're efficient, they're modern, they're people that have a high technical experience.
No, you're not saying that they're efficient and they're modern. Modern has got nothing to do with it. You're saying that they're efficient, but efficient means that they're doing the same job for either less money or less time. But they're not doing any kind of job that has ever been done before.
Yeah, because it needs to be done.
Why?
Because you've got a state of government that, I mean, like in the UK with the Home Office, we can't process things. You've got the American government, I'm sure, with a similar kind of problem.
They can process things that the previous Conservative administration chose not to, in order to create a problem that they could then point at and say, well, vote for us and we'll solve that problem.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree, but it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Archie. This idea that you can just go into an organisation and sack a lot of people, and because the organisation still exists, then it has become more efficient, it's laughable. Because the organisation does not exist anymore in the way that it used to. I mean, you could go into a hospital and sack half of the doctors. Now, the hospital would still be there, and there'd still be people being treated, but you wouldn't really call it more efficient, would you? I could go into where you work and just sack a random 50% of the workforce. And the company might still exist, but you wouldn't call it more efficient, necessarily. I mean, you could ask people to work twice as hard for the same amount of money, and if you're on the outside, that might appeal. Hang on. And if you're on the outside, that might appeal, but not to the people that are working there. You know, this sort of, I am not completely satisfied with my life, so let's burn everything down attitude is really worrying. I mean, it just demonstrates to me a lack of experience in the world and a complete lack of empathy, apart from anything else. I mean, where's your humanity, apart from anything else? What they're doing in America is blindingly obvious because they've tried it already. They wrote it down in a book, for crying out loud. They want to take trillions of dollars, and this, I'm not making it up because Trump did this the first time he was in office. He added trillions of dollars to the national debt to give the rich a tax cut. And that's what they're doing again. In the name of efficiency. Well, you know, if you believe that, I've got a bridge I'd like to sell you. I've got a Trump crypto coin I'd like you to be interested in buying.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This says the odds of a meteor hitting us is now 1 in 45. Yeah, I want to talk about that. DZ Moa texts, Olympic rock climbing is absolutely insane. By which I think he means good. Yes. I was pretty much testing myself to see if there was anything at the Olympics, with the exception of football, which shouldn't be there, and tennis, which shouldn't be there either, and basketball, which shouldn't be there, and, you know, all those team sports shouldn't be in the Olympics. But I've thought, is there anything that sounds boring that would not be brilliant if it's got the Olympic rings attached? And so I sat myself in front of rock climbing, which sounds really dull, but it was incredible. I'm not sure I'd watch it a lot if it wasn't part of the Olympics, but it really was great watching that. The Olympic rock climbing was brilliant. How do they do that? Like spiders. Beverly says Rick Mail is also dead. Also? Who else is dead? This says, glad your voice is back. Let's put your pronunciation skills to the test. It's -7 degrees up here in the Highlands. Thus I can say in all honesty, there's a bra brecht moonlicht next the next. Yeah. No problem, Archie. Barnstable, Alistair.
Hello, Nick.
Alistair.
Well, I think the word insanity has come up a few times tonight.
Yeah.
And
rock climbing. Insane, apparently.
Well, I want the birthday jingle because I'm 71.
71 years old.
Yeah. And I can't believe how the whole world seems to. The psyche is like a virus. The Trump psyche is sort of seeped into.
Yeah.
You know, if you listen to the callers you've had, and that young guy frightened me. And as for my favourite caller was Alice.
Alice, yeah.
Wasn't he wonderful? She wonderful?
Either way, yeah, great. Alice is going on the Best Of podcast, which is called the Nick Abbott Habit, coming out on Monday.
And I'm going to listen to it again because it was incredible. How could you question him? Because he was right. You see, he's just been. I'll talk about fake news. Right?
Yeah, the thing with Trumpism is you're right. It does seem to be spreading, and that's because it's very attractive to offer a simple solution to a complicated problem.
Exactly. And he didn't give you? He didn't consider your side of the story. He was right. Why are you being such an idiot? He's the president of the United States. Can't you respect the office?
Yeah, and I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago. I will when he does.
It's just, I've decided, Nick, that we're living in an alternative universe. I don't know when it started. It started a year or two ago. But
I tell you what, Alistair, I think at some point we were offered a red and a blue pill, and we took the wrong one.
Yeah. You're absolutely... And how is there so few of us? Because I love listening to you, because you speak sense. And by the way, you've got to watch out, Trump, because you're a comedian, and he doesn't like comedians to make fun of him.
Well, I very much doubt that he gets this show.
This goes all over the world, I've been told.
Oh, I suppose so. He probably has seen or heard of the internet, yeah, no doubt. You were about to say there's so few of us, but that's not true. There are more of us than there are of them. It's just that they shout louder.
And they've got the right-wing press, of course, so they just slag off anything
that's part of what I mean by they shout louder, yeah.
They do, yeah, and it's very unfortunate, and I find that very frustrating.
Well, at some point we'll be past it, and it will be in the rearview mirror, because these things, all things will pass, as George Harrison once said.
Rock and roll. Yeah. And I have my own solution, Nick. I've put it out there because we haven't come up with many tonight. So I live in my own personal bubble. So I don't listen to the news in the morning before I go to work.
Yeah.
And I have a lodger, and we have a discussion, and we decide that living in our own personal bubbles, everything's fine. I mean, the odd pothole.
Exactly.
And I know it sounds like a very selfish thing, and people criticise the UK. I love the UK. I just moved to Devon. It's beautiful here. I've got everything I want, and it's a shame that other people can't. It's taken me a long time to get to this stage. But it's a shame that other people can't see what is so blindingly obvious to me.
Yes, sorry to interrupt, but if people just get their faces out of their screens and they look up, they will realise that all of the things that we're obsessing about, all of the things that are bothering us all day long, there's a big world out there that doesn't care. Nature is asleep at the moment, but in about a month's time, it's going to start bursting forth. And there will be birdsong in the air, and flowers coming out of the ground, and leaves coming out of trees. And nature is going to have a party, whatever happens to us insignificant humans. So just keep that in mind.
Nick. Yeah, no, you're great, Nick. I'm 100% behind you. You keep up the good work.
All right, thanks a lot, Alistair. 0345 6060 973. James says, what's going on? Can you all just calm down? Yeah, keep that in mind. Nature is like a spring, a coiled spring, and is about to burst forth all over us, regardless of what the orange ape does in the White House. Just be glad that he hasn't bought this country yet. Kaz texts, the reason a woodpecker's tongue is so long that it covers its head to protect its brain when it's pecking at a tree. It covers its head. No, it doesn't. It covers its head with its tongue. What? It creates a sort of crash helmet with its tongue. No, that's not true. Good effort, though, Kaz. Simon says it's not the dartitus, it's called the yips. Oh, dartitis, right, the yips. Eric Bristow got it. What's the yips?
The yips is where the body involuntarily shakes. So I believe golf is when they putt, often get the yips.
Oh, yeah?
Shake. Yeah. But it's very wrong. It is dartitis, so...
Right. Do the hippie shake. I had no idea. David says, in conclusion, I think it's called the yips. Janice says, the darts question for the player not letting go of the dart is called the yips. OK, enough with the yips. And now, who's been waiting the longest? I'll be totally fair about this. One moment. It looks like Manchester. Hello, Raj.
Good evening, Nick. How are you doing today? You OK?
Yeah, good, thanks.
There's a couple of things. Not the caller that you just had, the caller before that, you know, that particular clown. I mean, the caller. That's the problem with... with the news that we hear. I mean, when you hear 900,000 people coming to this country, what springs to your mind is, or for the average Joe, he'll be thinking, all these black people, brown people, they're the ones that have come over, but it's not. As you stipulated, people from Hong Kong, people from the Ukraine, the legal migration is what people don't quite understand. There's a difference between one and the other.
But they don't care. There is a difference, but that is not part of the problem that people have with immigration. People have a problem with immigration because they don't like the idea of foreigners around their way, for whatever reason. Maybe they once met a foreigner and it didn't go very well, or they lived next to a foreigner and it didn't go very well. But if they lived next to a British person and it didn't go well, then they wouldn't think, oh, British people. But because they're not, apart from your normal experience, they're not others.
Exactly. But the real reason why I rang, Nick, was the more important thing was, and I maybe I've missed it somehow, but I can't remember what was the final conclusion to when your toilet had been installed at your house or your flat. Did you manage to use it before the workers or the plumbers?
Well, that is an ongoing saga because it's still not actually a functional bathroom yet.
Well, I'm glad that I hadn't missed the actual conclusion.
Yeah.
But we continue. This is like a soap opera.
Well,
you have to keep listening now.
Yeah, as soon as I get to the bottom of it, Raj, I'll let you know. Thanks a lot, mate. John says, I have a classic Jaguar XJ12 Coupe, 1977, full wide arch body kit, just like the TV show The Avengers. The Avengers had a classic Jaguar XJ12 Coupe, 1977, full wide arch body kit. Did they? Or did they have it without the wide arch body kit? Because the wide arch body kit sounds a bit go faster to me. I mean, it wouldn't make the car go faster, but it would make it look like it goes faster. I'm going to need confirmation of that. I bet my glamorous assistant is all over that as I speak. Well, he's sitting motionless in his chair, so I don't know whether... I expect the answer to that is no. Yes?
No.
He says that it's Lamborghini green. Ooh. A Jaguar Lamborghini... I'm assuming by Lamborghini green you mean almost luminous green. Because a Lamborghini would not be seen in anything like racing green, like a Jag. Does it sound like I know what I'm talking about?
No.
He says it's got a supercharged 700 horsepower and I drive it like a demon, says John. Well, that's probably not very wise. Any of the above, I mean. The wide arch body kit, that sounds like a terrible idea. Because it's quite a nice... I mean, it's not a great-looking car. It's sort of okay. That's not an XJ Coupe, is it?
Says so beneath, no? That says it's the one from the Avengers.
Blimey, wow, that wide arch body kit has made that car look hideous, hasn't it? That's really ugly.
It's a bit Arthur Daly.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Arthur Daly used to drive... Did he drive a Jag or was it a Daimler? There was a while there where you couldn't tell the difference unless you looked at the badge. That is awful, John. Get rid of that car right now. Buy yourself something nice. You deserve it. Well, I'm not sure that that's true, actually. There should be some sort of law against a car that looks like that. That is awful. Anyway... Mike says, that haze emanating from your carpet, was it purple? It was red and green and yellow and blue.
Groovy.
Yeah, all sorts. A rainbow... Rainbow!
No!
Rainbow colours it was. Right, I want to talk about the imminent death of everything that you hold dear. But, before that, I have to take a short break in order to come back again.
You're joking.
Hugh emails, you've got to see the Christmas edition of Bottom when they think they found the baby Jesus. Well, I'm not sure that will be the best episode to start with. Maybe I'll back up a bit and see it from the beginning. Maybe. Macy says, coincidentally, I'm just reading the French classic The Reform of Serge. I didn't expect you to mention it this evening. Keep up the good work. I don't remember mentioning it. Paula says, I can confirm that Streatham still has an ice rink, but now it's part of the lecture centre. The old rink was knocked down some years ago as part of a large redevelopment project. And the lecture centre? Well, that implies that it's part of a university. Does Streatham have a university? And why would a university have an ice rink? Or why would a lecture centre of any kind have an ice rink? Is an ice rink really necessary? Manchester, hello, Stephen.
How you doing, mate?
Good, thanks.
I've just read, the mystery of Edwin Drood, which, as I'm sure, like a proper academic like you, academic, yeah, probably is.
I'm not an academic, and I've never read it.
Academic. He didn't finish, did he? So I've read like an alternative ending to it, and I think it was actually done by his daughter. That's really interesting. So anyway, listen, I put a pizza in. I put a pizza in the oven at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah.
I made the fateful mistake of thinking I'm going to have a lie down. Yeah, it's like a big black disc. Well, I was thinking about you because the Legos and the Mechanos are after you, aren't they? Online after what you said yesterday.
Well, yeah, I guess they are. Yeah, no, you have to pay attention when
they're after you.
You have to pay attention when you put a pizza in the oven. Stephen, you have disrespected pizza.
4.5 hours, but I guess anyway, I kind of did that men behaving badly thing where I got it out of the oven and I thought, can I eat this? Anyway, it's literally a black disc with black discs on it, right? But I still looked at it and I thought, could I eat this?
Yeah, scrape it off a bit. Yeah, why not? So what did you eat?
I've just put pasta in the oven. I'm trying not to fall asleep, so what I'm going to do is listen to an excellent radio show.
Wake up. All right, best of luck with dinner, Stephen. It's getting a bit late. Must pay attention when you put the pizza in the oven. The pizza's only supposed to be in the oven for several minutes. Cal says, whiskey and cough medicine sounds like a recipe for a Flaming Moe drink from the early Simpsons show. I'm sure it was whiskey and cough medicine. Really? It does sound like a good idea, doesn't it? I could go for a couple of pints of that right now, as a matter of fact. Booze. Jason says, why does the orange one surround himself with incompetence? It's almost like the only person he's ever hired who was qualified to do their job was Stormy Daniels.
Disgusting.
Now, I do believe that I saw that on the internet today, Jason. You're not stealing other people's material, are you, by any chance? And Chris says, why is milk white? That's a good question. Why is milk white?
Because...
Yes?
Can I come back to you after the news?
No, answer the question.
Because God made it that way.
Yeah, that's right. To differentiate it from wine, of course. Because you wouldn't want to put wine on your cereal. Yeah, Aegis. Mark texts, I'm Mark from Hastings. I'm glad that you shared that with us, Mark. And if any changes occur in your circumstances, I want you to let me know straight away, all right? Who's been waiting the longest now? One moment, please. Coventry. Hello, John.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Yeah, we're just in the age of bit baggers and spivs, aren't we? I mean, you've got these grifters that turn up and food to the lowest common denominator, and then all of a sudden they're in office and they're in things like Gaza-on-Sea and, huge, great sort of legacy projects for when they're out of office. Nobody seems to really monkey. It's like you just call it that young gentleman who'd been sort of brainwashed by the whole thing. It's the whole sort of toss has changed about sort of, doing things right and doing the right thing and thinking about the next generation and passing on a decent sort of earth to the followers behind us. But
but
it seems to have all gone a bit pear-shaped,
right? And I think the reason for that is, and what may underline that chap that you were talking about, his displeasure with the world, is that it used to be the case that, and it's, you know what, it comes down to money, because money is the root of almost everything, every part of our existence. Not money itself, but what money can buy you. And I'm not talking about having millions and billions. I'm just talking about not staying up all night worried about being able to pay your bills. There used to be it used to be more comfortable and easier to have a life. Now you pedal furiously in order to stay in the same place. And the reason for that is not because we're not creating wealth or we're not creating growth and all that stuff that politicians obsess about. It's because all the wealth and all the growth that is created goes to an increasingly small number of people at the very, very top. And it didn't used to be like that. I mean, I don't know how old you are, John, but you can probably remember a time when the CEO of a major FTSE 100 corporation used to earn about
lowest wage, wasn't it?
Yeah, used to earn about 40 times the average wage of the person in that company. About 40 times in the 1960s and 70s, that was what it was. And then, coinciding with Margaret Thatcher's premiership, that just took off, and now it's 300 or 400 times as much as the average earner in their company. So the wealth has been created by all of the workers, but it's only shared among the few at the very, very top. And that is getting worse by the year. And so I totally get why people are kind of fed up, because they're not getting anywhere, and neither can they see themselves ever getting anywhere in the future. So, yeah, we want to change that. But how do we change that? Well, I don't know. Let's vote for somebody who is different, somebody who says that they are against the elites. I mean, the idea that Nigel Farage, who's leading the richest party in the country, is anti the elite is just laughable. But, you know, he's good on stage and he can tell a good story and he's kind of magnetic, so he's our Trump. And if enough people get the feeling that they're not going to get anywhere with the way it's going at the moment, with the parties that just swap the leadership over every so often, then, yeah, I totally get that somebody would want it to have the country shaken up like a snow globe.
I mean, what you need to ask yourself is, how much, too much, came along with 4 billion, and you were like, well, that's a huge amount of money. Musk got 400, 10 times the amount. It makes look like a pauper. And you're thinking, how much is too much? Where is the line drawn on that sort of...
Yeah. I don't think... There's something wrong with your phone, John. You're sort of... Every other word is cutting out, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to leave it there. But thanks. The sense that I get, I mean, I've only ever spoken to one billionaire, and I was very drunk, and I can't remember what we spoke about. But he was sort of different. I mean, he wasn't like Trump or Musk. There just seems to be something that infects them. I don't know whether they are in competition with other people who have got that kind of money, and, there's always going to be somebody who parks their bigger boat in front of your sunset. You know, it's like bragging rights. I'm the richest person in the world now, and, next year it might be you because my company will lose shares. But it doesn't really make any difference to these people. They couldn't spend all the money they've got if they dedicated the rest of their lives to it. But it just seems to have that kind of money just seems to infect them with some sort of illness. Because they're not happy. They don't appear to be satisfied in any way. I mean, they appear to be unsatisfied and to spend all of their waking hours trying to make even more money that they won't be able to spend. It seems to turn them a bit loopy. And maybe it's just because having that kind of cash does mean that you never really meet normal people. You only ever meet people who say yes to everything you say, which in itself is probably not good for the development of your personality. If you only ever meet yes people, well, I mean, that's just not really good for you, is it? Everyone's got to hear the word no. Yes?
No.
0345 6060 973. Bev says, Stickle Bricks, defo sexist, all male, says Bev. And Ruth is trying to correct my mental arithmetic by giving me the following equation. 6 times 8 equals 48. Well, I don't know where you went to school, Ruth, but you're just embarrassing yourself on national radio. 6 8s are 52. Any idiot knows that. And Ali texts, following the setup from a caller on your show last night, a Mexican throws his wife over the cliff, and I refused to give him the opportunity to give me the punchline. But then I accidentally read the punchline out because somebody had just texted me the one-word punchline, which which is kind of annoying on many different levels because it's not even a joke. It's just a pun on a Mexican product. Like something you'd see in a Christmas cracker. So, no jokes. And this text says, there are 2 questions we need to know the answer to. Why did you upset Jonathan? And why are you in the broom cupboard and not the spaceship? I always seem to miss the answers to these 2 questions, however much I listen. Well, I did the Starship Enterprise spaceship studio thing last night, and I upset Jonathan because I outed his real ID.
On your radio.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
Yes, mostly I have been waiting to speak to Mike from East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Yeah, Asteroid. You've got... This isn't a joke.
Mike. Please speak directly into the phone.
Hello, Nick.
Yes.
Right. Asteroid.
Asteroids, yes.
Yeah. Now, we did a bit of research to try and find out exactly what we know about this and what's going on. And this isn't a joke. It's a bit amusing and a bit alarming because this was one of the premier American universities. And there was a discussion about this, and they're saying, don't be too worried about it, because there's only a 1 point something chance, which had gone up from 1 to 1 point something.
Yeah.
But what was alarming was they then had a map of the world and a graphic on and saying, however, we do know that if it hits the Earth, it will hit on a line between Brazil and India, 50% of which is the North Atlantic. Well, if it isn't going to hit us, how do they know so precisely where it's going to hit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe them.
But there was a graphic there with all the bits and pieces on showing where it was going to hit, and it couldn't possibly hit beyond India or further back than Brazil. And I'm thinking, well, this is weird. This is like saying, you're quite safe. Nobody's going to come and shoot you, but if they do, it's going to be a Smith & Wesson 357
Yeah, 5 minutes past midnight next Monday. Yeah.
which is a bit odd, but
yeah, it's very strange.
But if I can just go back a little to what Rose was saying earlier on and stuff, you and I think, are both sort of admirers of the series The Ascent of Man, Bronowski.
Jacob Bronowski, The Ascent of Man. Yes, one of the most remarkable things that has ever been put on television.
How long do you think it's going to be before somebody comes up with, we've hit peak civilization, and we've now got The Descent of Man? The
Descent of Man, yeah.
Because this sort of triggering tribalism, Nick, which is an inherited psychology you're born with. We're all born. Just look at football supporters. We've all got tribalism.
Yes.
And this was scientifically exploiting it.
Yeah, well, we cover ourselves with a thin veneer of civilization, but it doesn't take much to chip through it. And if you are dissatisfied with your life, then you can't blame yourself, because where are you going to get with that? And you can't blame luck, because it's too amorphous a thing to actually pin blame on. So you are encouraged by others to blame other people, a small identifiable minority. And that is very, very comforting, because, it's out with my control, but it's their fault, so I'm going to hate on them. And it works pretty much every time a politician is shameless enough to try it.
Absolutely, sir. And I mean, when you look at, take Trump for sake of argument, he behaves like a medieval king.
Yeah.
If anybody criticised the king, he was beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
So people had to try and control the king when he was doing stupid things, but you couldn't possibly criticise him because he had ultimate power. And we're getting to this stage with Putin. I mean, don't go in a high-rise if you criticise Putin.
Right. Don't go by any upper floor windows. No.
Exactly. We're getting to the same state with Trump. And I mean, we criticised Putin for his actions, and Kim Jong-il and that nutter in Cambodia and what have you, Pol Pot. We're absolutely adamant these people were bad. And we're now looking at Trump. And nobody dare say this is the same behaviour. It's the same pattern that's emerging here.
Yeah, it seems to be exactly the same for the specific reason that he, Donald Trump, is following the playbook of all of the people that we've just been talking about. And the thing with Trump is that you don't need to guess whether he's doing it. He tells you he's doing it.
Yeah, listen to what they say. They actually tell you in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what with Gaza, we're going to permanently remove Palestinians. All he sees it is real estate. He's no empathy for the people. Palestinians aren't anything. They're just people. What people? They don't matter. It's real estate.
Well, he's of the personality type that he doesn't really have any empathy for anybody other than himself. He doesn't think of anybody other than himself, which is why he can lie so well, because he just constructs this alternate universe in his head where everything he says is true. And you cannot dissuade him of that, even if you show him the evidence that what he has just said is not true. In his mind, because he said it, it's the case.
Yeah, it's difficult, and unless you understand evolutionary psychology, it's difficult to convince people that this is what's happening. But they are quite predictable, believe it or not.
Oh, completely, yes. I mean, all you have to do is flatter him and give him money, and he'll do anything you want. I mean, almost literally.
Yeah. Okay, cheers.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Yes, we're talking about the end of times. I've got two examples. There's a river in Argentina. Did you hear about this? A river in Argentina has turned red in what's been likened to a doomsday phenomenon. The Sarandí Canal turned bright red on the outskirts of Buenos Aires this week. The incident has been linked to a biblical sign signalling the end of times. The canal has been known to turn unusual colours in the past, but this week's unusual events left many locals believing it could be a prophetic sign. Residents said the canal was emitting a foul odour during the early hours of Thursday and had the appearance of a river of blood. The end of times. A doomsday phenomena. In other news, scientists now say there is a very real chance that the Earth will be hit by a city-killer asteroid on December the 2nd, 2032.
What?
Yeah. 2032. Look at the bottom right-hand side of your computer screen and you'll see that that is 7 years away.
Oh, no.
7. With an estimated diameter of 90 metres, the asteroid called 2024 YR4 is the same size as the Statue of Liberty, which is about the same size as Wales, approximately. A doctor using science told Mail Online, if 2024 were to impact Earth, it would release energy roughly equivalent to several megatons of TNT. TNT stands for Total Nuclear Catastrophe. And based on the Tunguska asteroid, which flattened 830 square miles of Siberian forest in 1908, conservative estimates put the 2024 YR4 asteroid's destructive power at 15 megatons of TNT. And if that were detonated above central London, a blast would be powerful enough to shatter windows and cause injuries in Slough, 25 miles away. Or, what would be a better idea, is that the asteroid hit Slough, completely flattened it, causing many tens of pounds of damage, and shattered windows in London.
Yeah.
Better. The asteroid, 2024 YR4, is called the City Killer asteroid, and it has been determined to have a low chance of impacting Earth, specifically on December the 2nd, 2032. A low chance, but not low enough. And the asteroid was first spotted in late December last year by astronomers at the NASA-funded Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System station in Chile. Or, as it's known now, the shortly-to-be NASA-defunded Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System station in Chile, because if we don't know about it, it can't hurt us. So say the world's leading scientific experts. Nobody knows more about science than me. Very important people, they come to me, they say, "Sir, nobody knows more about science than you," and I say, "Thank you." It is a little alarming, though, isn't it? I mean, we've only known about this thing that could wipe out a city or a whole country or a civilization And we've only known about it since December. And since we found out about it, this, let's call it a deadly space rock, it's become a growing matter of concern as the probability of impact continues to rise. Like we were just saying, it was determined at first to have a 1.2% chance of hitting Earth. Well, they've changed their mind. The figure they came up with a month ago was 1.2%. Now they've checked their calculations and they have doubled that chance to 2.3% probability of impact. A NASA spokesmodel said, but you know what, 2.3% doesn't sound very much unless you're putting it to things that you do every day. I mean, if there was a 2.3% chance of your plane going face first into a mountain, you probably wouldn't get on that plane, right? If there was a 2.3% chance of being electrocuted by your table lamp, you probably wouldn't switch it on. And scientists currently predict that the 90-metre wide deadly space rock has a 1 in 43 chance of hitting Earth on that date in December in 2032. And if it does, it would cause widespread damage to a populated area. I hope it hits a non-densely populated area that Donald Trump is cheating at golf on. Come on, God. Give us a break.
Don't be rude.
Based on the size, the density, the speed of the incoming asteroid, a reliable estimate puts the explosive force, like I said, 15 megatons of TNT, which, fact fans, is 100 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Yes. It would cause total death and mayhem within a 12-mile radius. But that's if it hits land, which, fact fans, is less likely than it hitting water. I mean, if it hit water, and I'm going on guesswork here, a lot of people would get wet. I mean, I don't know anything about anything, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. I bet it would create a tidal wave that would sweep a city away. But there's hope. All we need to prevent this catastrophe from happening, save crossing our fingers and hoping for the best, is for humankind to put aside their differences and work together as a team.
Oh, no.
We're doomed. I know that people are saying this a lot because it's quite an obvious parallel, but we do appear to be living out the plot of Don't Look Up. Actually, it's like two films playing on the same screen. We've got a double header, Don't Look Up and Idiocracy, two moronic tales for the price of one. And what could we do to stop it? Well, we could have a strong belief in science, for a start, but that's out because science is woke. We'd need a firm commitment to solving a problem that would mostly impact poor people, because billionaires would be able to get their jets off the ground at just the right time. So that's out too. And we'd need to be invested in improving the prospects of the many in the long term rather than giving tax cuts to the super rich in the short term. It's like a test. This is a test. I mean, this may be only a test, but we won't know till it's too late. I mean, we could act now, spend vast amounts on tracking it and intercepting the DSR, the deadly space rock, and nudging it off course, perhaps. But we could probably do that, but we'd need to start now. And, you know, the world is busy with other things. In this country, we've got leaders obsessed with growth, which won't come from buying an expendable rocket to solve a problem that might not happen. And in America, they're obsessed with doing whatever makes liberals angry, regardless of how much it impacts everybody else, and the leadership seems solely concerned with TV ratings and money. And the world in general is too busy to care about any of this because we're all trying to post online something, anything, that will get us a thumbs up and a smiley face from people we don't know. So if this is a test, it looks like we've failed before we've sat down and put our name at the top of the page. Humankind gets an F and an instruction to see teacher after class. I'll see you in detention.
LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
in blazes goes on inside that head of yours?
Oh, don't ask. Les text, compared to Biden, Trump is an intellectual giant, isn't he? Now, I don't know whether that's a statement of fact or he's being sarcastic. Compared to Biden, Trump is an intellectual giant, isn't he? And Biden and Trump are capitalised for some reason. No idea. Maybe it's catching. He says, at least with Trump, you know who is in charge. Who's in charge? Who's is spelt wrong, but never mind. At least with Trump, you know who's in charge. Yeah, Elon Musk. Who was running things under Biden, says Les. Oh, so it was sarcastic. Right, gotcha. Who was running things under Biden? Well, the cabinet, the great offices of state, all of the people who make things happen in America, rather than one man with a box full of Sharpies putting his squiggle to random bits of paper that are pushed in front of him. If that's a comprehensive answer to your question, Les, you're welcome. Hang on a minute. Oh, a cough coming in. One moment. Let's see now. Cornwall, Malcolm.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
Yes, sir.
I just had a thought, Nick. Canada and Trump. I'm convinced that Canada used to be part of the Commonwealth, isn't it? So surely we should have first dibs on Canada, not Trump.
Well, I think we actually do. Oh no, is it Greenland we got first dibs? I know I'm a bit off mic at the moment.
Both.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Hey, look.
Yes.
Here's a question for you. You'll know. You mentioned to another caller earlier that you outed Jonathan. You confronted him and you told him who he was.
Well, that's a bit extreme. I didn't confront him. I just...
All right.
Because I had gone through clips of old shows for my best of, which is called the...
Let me stop you, Nick. Was this some time ago, a few weeks back?
Was what some time ago?
That you'd spotted that you thought it was...
it was a couple of months ago. Yeah, I was going through wait a minute. I was going through old... You've asked me, so I'll answer. I was going through old shows, looking for clips to put on my Best Of podcast, which comes out on a Monday. It's called The Nick Abbot Habit, 30 minutes of concentrated amusement. I think you'll love it. And I thought, that voice sounds familiar. And so I just asked him if he was the very same person. And there was an echoing silence. You could like fallen off a cliff. It lasted so long, and that was the last I heard from him. So yeah.
And put the phone down. Well, the reason I asked was I thought there might have been a development last night, even though I was listening. There might have been a development that I missed last night because I'm sneakily suspicious that you might have another AKA.
Oh yeah.
And who's now going by the name of Alice.
No.
Who might be related to the man from Harrow.
No, I don't think so. No.
Have a listen off air and see what you think. I'm not so sure. But the actual reason I funded Nick was Trump and the things that are going on there. What's all the noise in the background, Nick? I'm finding it very off-putting.
I'm looking for something. Go on.
You do it quietly, please. I'm trying to talk, yeah?
I'm getting told off on my own show.
No, Nick, Trump, it's all starting to go a little bit pear-shaped in that you'll know because you got an ology and it's at degree level, so you'll know about this stuff. The things he's trying to take apart were all built by Congress.
Yes.
One of the two or one of the houses of Congress. So the only people who can, in theory and in law, take it apart are those two houses. But Trump is doing it so hastily that he's hoping they haven't got time to catch up with him. But they are. They are beginning to catch up with him slowly but surely. In that, there are quite a few court cases now, and he's literally lost every one of them. They're on hold for in the main for a few days, Monday, Tuesday, sometime next week. But they're coming back to court without fail, and he will lose in those courts because it's the same judges. So then it'll go up to the appeals court, so on and so forth. And Trump's hope is he can bat them all up to the Supreme Court, who he says will back him out.
They'll just rubber stamp anything that he says,
But the problem for us, Nick, is what he doesn't realise is they're not going to take all of the cases he wants to come up to them. They decide which courses they take. They don't say, oh, we got an appeal, we got to do this one. They say, no, we're going to knock this back down, and you have another go until you sort it out at that lower level.
Right.
So I think, Nick, an awful lot of what, especially Musk, because Musk literally has no authority, because there's no department such as called DOGE. It doesn't exist.
Right, but he does have the authority of the President of the United States, though, who has instructed him to do what. And Trump doesn't even know what he's doing. I mean, he was asked the other day, how do you think Musk is doing? And he said, well, he's doing a great job. What is he doing? Well, we haven't really discussed that, he said.
Well, bit of news I don't know whether you know this, but Trump was actually last week. He was appointed as an employee of the Treasury Department. I don't know whether you knew that.
You mean Musk was?
Musk was appointed as a member of staff of the Treasury. So, as such, Nick, he is simply an employee.
Yes, but this is all very good, Malcolm, but I think you're missing the point that Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that. And it's going so fast, and the takeover seems to be so complete that I just don't. I think they're just going to blast through any impediment that's put in front of them and arrest people who are trying to stop them doing what they're doing.
They can't, and nobody will be arrested because the sack of the CIA. They've given all of the FBI an option to resign.
Right, exactly.
No, but the point is, Nick, none of that stands because the courts have already said you just cannot do this. Even though you're president, you cannot say to the CIA and the FBI you don't exist anymore.
Right.
You can't say to the Department of Foreign Aid.
Yes.
You can't say to them that they don't exist anymore.
Right. Okay, well, I'll make a prediction. I understand what you're saying, and you are correct, but I don't think that he plays by any kind of rule that it would restrict him doing whatever he wants to do at any time he wants to do it. And I think that the momentum is so great that, and it might not be forever, but it's going to be for a certain amount of time, that my prediction is that he will be able to get away with all of this stuff because I mean, one of the reasons that he released those January the 6th rioters was to provide himself with his own private army. So that anybody displeases the king is going to get the personal attention of those people. So that's why he did that. So that will cause many people to think twice about crossing him. And furthermore, Donald Trump's not going anywhere. That other law, that rule about only serving twice, he's not going to obey that. He's not going to go at the end of this term. He'll probably be there for 4 years after that, and then 4 years after that as well.
The thing is, Nick, the odds are, look, the Republicans, there's a very high chance they're going to lose either the House of Congress, the Congress, the Representatives, or the Senate, or both.
Assuming that it's a free. Wait a minute. Assuming it's a free and fair election, but he has already told. Wait a minute. He's already told us that they're not going to have one of those anymore. When he told the Christians on stage, "My beautiful Christians, vote this one time, and then you won't have to vote anymore. We are going to fix it," he said. And then it's this speech in Washington when he was congratulating himself for just having won. He said, Elon Musk, what a great guy. He knows more about vote counting machines than anybody.
But the mistake I think you're making again, Nick, is that you're listening to what he says instead of waiting to see what he does. Because
I'm looking at what he does. What he says is just word salad nonsense. But what he does is much of it is not really got anything to do with him. He just signs the piece of paper that's put in front of him. It's those evil weirdos behind him that are making this happen at this speed. He wouldn't be doing it. He's not really doing anything. Half of the time that he's been installed as a president, he's played golf half of the time.
But the point I make, Nick, is the point I made about the elections in 2 years' time. Trump is there for 4, right? But in 2 years' time from now, there are elections, right? But what's going to happen, Nick, is all of these things he's cutting. So in a minute he'll be reversing the Joe Biden Build Back Better bill and all of that, right? But the problem is most of that money, Nick, it's lined up and about to be spent in Republican states. So Trump will be saying, no, I'm closing down all of these departments. I'm stopping all the spending because I want you to go to tax cuts for the rich. But the people who matter, Nick, are the
Yes,
senators.
I know. And the people that voted for him are going to be the ones that get hurt the most. And so that's where the distraction comes in. Look at that. Look at that transgender person over there.
No, they'll stop him, Nick.
Okay. Well, I'll bet you a fiver.
Yeah,
I'll bet you £5. But we'll find out when we get there, eh? Thanks, Malcolm. Arthur says, I've had enough. Arthur's had enough. He's had it up to here. Can't stand it anymore. He says, I've had enough, and I'm saying when. I'll be moving from the American Mid-South to Glasgow in a little over a year. How's the weather there? Should I pack my Speedos? He's coming from the American Deep South, and he's going to set up in Glasgow. Well, I wouldn't bother with many clothes at all, Arthur. I think you'll find it's clement. Very, very pleasant in Glasgow. I mean, I'll give you the weather forecast in Glasgow right now, just for your information. Well, look at that. It's going to be sunny and in the mid-70 degrees Fahrenheit for the next 2 weeks in Glasgow. So pack accordingly, Arthur. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone, 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Tony says, can you get on with this thing about the end of the world coming soon? Oh, I've done it already. I have done that already, Tony, and you are welcome.
Thank you.
Zach says, I'm not listening, but I'll be catching up as always. Who would win a fight between Musk and Trump? I don't know, but I'd like to see that happen. Wouldn't you? Only one man can leave this ring. Place your bets. York. Hello, Claire.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Claire.
Oh, God, I don't know where to start, but I was prompted to call by your earlier young caller who seemed to think Musk was this great second coming to Trump. I just wanted to put him straight on Twitter. Since he took over Twitter, 70% of the net worth of that company has been lost on the stock exchange.
He very efficiently lost a massive amount of money. Yeah.
And some of his new sort of 19-year-old, 20-year-old interns are now responsible for deciding which vital programs around the world and which departments which support Americans now exist. And they've never even been to a developing country, and now they're deciding on money spent that.
Yeah, it's probably even worse than that. It's probably not going to be a human being. They're just going to install AI.
Affirmative.
So it's going to be a computer program that will decide on the fate of... we can joke about it and all, but there's millions of people are going to die.
And all to pay trillions of pounds worth of extra money to rich people in tax breaks.
Amazing.
And one of the interns recently tweeted, world hatred of Indians should be normalised. He tweeted that, and J.D. Vance, the vice president, who has an Indian wife, said, "Oh, that's all right. We shouldn't cancel him. No need to fire him. That's
I think
fine."
that the Republicans in general, they seem to have had their spines removed because they're just flopping about when it comes to Trump. They just prostrate themselves on the floor in front of him as though he is the world king. I mean, it's just remarkable to see.
It's absolutely unbearable. I'm getting to the point where I just don't know what to do with myself anymore. I just can't bear it. And yesterday, Trump fired the head of the government archives. So not only now is he controlling with Musk the information people get now through X, and he's ousting NBC from press briefings to put in more right-leaning, Trump-friendly outlets.
Right.
But he's also now controlling the history for the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's frightening. He's also he's fired all the board of the Kennedy Center yesterday. And made himself the chair. I mean, this is a dictator, and why young people are sort of fawning over him in Britain is quite frightening. I just don't. I'm just speechless. I just don't understand why people can look at that and think that this is the way we want humanity to go.
I think the reason that they do that is because people like Trump offer simple solutions to complicated problems, and they give you the idea that if you vote for them, you personally will not suffer any of the consequences of their actions. Now, the internet is absolutely full of people who voted for Donald Trump crying into their phones that their family is about to be deported, or they just got fired from a job that they love, or the job that they had just got hired for doesn't exist anymore, or the benefits that they rely on are about to be taken away from them, and they were told over and over again. But it's sort of a human instinct that if you do something for someone, they won't be mean back to you.
And the farmers who voted for him are now up in arms because they sell so much to USAID.
Yeah.
They sell all their product, their farm product to USAID.
Yeah.
So they're all up in arms now. And Trump, I mean, they rely on people being not thinking and being quite stupid, really, because Trump announced the other day that he was kicking all undocumented immigrants off Social Security. But as CNN pointed out, they don't get Social Security because they don't have Social Security numbers because they're undocumented.
Right.
I mean,
but that's part of that. All of these people are coming here and they're taking your jobs and they're taking your money, and they'll probably take your wife if you let them. They're murderers, they're rapists, but some are good people, I suppose.
And there's no oversight now because he's fired all the inspector generals, and Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, has now eliminated the elite anti-corruption task force.
Yeah. I don't know why people are still saying, we've got to weather the storm for 4 years and then we can get back to normality. He's not going anywhere. He's about to upset all of the people that voted for him, unless they are billionaires, because he's going to take the money from the poor and give it to the rich. And we know he's going to do that because he did it the last time.
And he's axing the education department, which will reduce people's education, which will make them not understand, so that they will vote for him.
Every single person that voted for him, all normal, everyday people, are going to suffer as a consequence of what he's doing, which means that he is going to lose the next election unless there either isn't a next election or it's fixed. And he has told us that he is going to fix it. He actually used those words.
I know. He absolutely has. And it's going to be a dynasty now, a Trump dynasty.
Yeah,
he's going to... his family. And
the only way that he's going to give up the presidency is to give it to his son. Not Uday and Qusay. They're too stupid. The tall one, the young one.
Yeah. Barron. Yeah.
Yeah, Barron.
What's frightening me is that it's barreling our way too, and that worries me more than words can express.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, the only advice I can give you, Claire, is unplug.
Yeah.
Don't doom scroll through the news. Well, it is. There used to be a thing called books. Books don't have the news constantly chirruping their way onto the pages. It's been set. You know where it ends, And you know what's going to be in it. It's not doom scrolling through an endless news feed that has no limits and is constantly being updated. Just unplug.
All right, I'll take your orders.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot, Claire. Good luck with that. James texts, as regarding efficiencies, he says James Rees-Mogg. Rees-Mogg couldn't find any efficiencies. No, he tried. He couldn't find any efficiencies or Brexit benefits.
I don't know anything.
He said.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Yeah. I got stuck on James. Jacob. How quickly we forget. Still not missing you, by the way. In case you were wondering. Petersfield. Hello, Paul.
Oh, hi. Yeah, just three things, if you let me question you. If 4 5/8 are 40, 6 8 are 48, aren't they? Not 42 or 52.
5/8 are 36. And what was the other question?
6 8 are...
6 8 are 52.
4 8. Well, half of 8 is...
3.
Half of 8 is... half of 4...
yes?
Hang on. Half of...
Come on, it's not difficult.
No, I know. Anyway,
I'm
that's
sorry,
one thing.
you failed that test. Yes,
Yeah,
what else?
well, that's the first thing. And then the next thing is, on the news they were saying a person on your own will be, I don't know, 2,500 or more worse off. Well, not if you were married to my ex-wife. You wouldn't be. And the other thing is, the song from the 70s was, Who the Hell's Alice?
Who the hell is Alice?
Alice, because that's the guy you were talking to earlier, wasn't it?
That's a song?
There is, yeah, a song.
Who sung that?
Oh, I can't remember, but it is. Somebody will tell you.
And it's called Who the Hell is Alice?
It's Alice in the song, yeah. It's Alice. I think it is called Alice. And then in the song they go, Who the hell is Alice?
Oh, my God. Here it is. It's by Scooter Lee.
That's it.
Who's Scooter Lee?
I don't know. But I know it was sort of in the time of the punk sort of music and that sort of thing.
Well, it says 2005.
Oh, was it? Maybe it was before that. But
there is another one.
There is another one from the 70s.
Living Next Door to Alice.
That's it.
Smokey.
Smokey.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then the song they go, Who the hell's Alice?
Who the hell is Alice?
Just, when that chap said his name was Alice, I thought, what? Who's the hell's Alice?
Who the hell is Alice? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Now we
thanks
know.
a lot.
All right, thanks, Paul. 0345 6060 973. Abigail says, efficiency by Twitter hasn't worked. The social media platform formerly known as Twitter is worth almost 80% less than it was 2 years ago when Elon Musk bought it. It's like a Mad Max society. I can't believe how a young person thinks that a grifter Farage is the answer. Yeah, because they don't really... I don't want to be rude to the guy because he seemed to, make... he's polite and he made sense and all. Spoke in sentences, which is more than I can do most of the time. But if you don't look very hard and you don't immerse yourself in what people are saying and what they're trying to do and what their manifestos are and whether they make any sense or not, then it's very encouraging, it's very attractive to have somebody say, all of the problems that you're experiencing right now, I can solve them easily. Vote for me. And you think, oh, thank God. About blooming time. Mother is back. Kind of like that, isn't it? Somebody is going to take charge and they're going to make everything better. Oh, finally. It's kind of like that. And that's why people voted for Trump, that and the hatred of others, which he played on a lot. And let's not kid ourselves, he's very magnetic. I mean, that's why the TV companies in America pointed their cameras at him all the time. They essentially gave him hundreds of millions of dollars of free advertising just by pointing their cameras at him and leaving it running. Because they knew that their audience figures would go up. Because he is quite the performer, no doubt. So is Nigel Farage. They're kind of exactly the same, almost. I mean, both of them are offering easy, simple solutions, untested. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter whether they make any sense or not. You just got to convince people that you'll do it. That Donald Trump can convince people that he will actually look after their interests when all of the evidence of his entire life has suggested that the only person he's remotely interested in is himself. Well, I mean, psychologists could do studies on that from now until the end of time, and a lot of them probably are engaging in that project right now. And if you think that Nigel Farage is going to steadfastly work for your interests, well, then you obviously don't know what he did when he was an MEP. I mean, he's got history of representing people. And when he was an MEP, I can't think off the top of my head that he did anything at all. I mean, at all. And now he's the MP of Clacton. What's he doing for the good people of Clacton? So the desire to believe is so strong that you will dismiss all of the evidence that suggests you've just come to the wrong conclusion. And I think that there's this sort of ingrained bias to stick with your original opinion, your gut instinct. And once you've formed that opinion of someone or something, it's incredibly hard to get people to change, because it will upset your worldview, because you'll sort of append other ideas and beliefs to that original thought. Nigel Farage is I'm going to vote for him, and he's a good man, and he's an honest man, and he tells it like it is, and he has he's very successful, and you'll sort of attach all these other ideas to that. So to unhook the fundamental notion of that personal thing is to lose everything else that you've built around it, which is kind of painful. So you're like ripping a piece of yourself out. So there's that. Also, loss of face. People don't want to lose face. Yeah, okay, I was fooled. Nobody wants to say that. And so they double down, dig their heels in. And that's where we're at. With an asteroid plummeting towards us. 0345 6060 973, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Well, I don't know. Like is a strong word. Anna texts about a woodpecker. I think it wraps its tongue around the inside of its head as a lining. That's not true, is it? I refuse to believe that that is true. It wraps its tongue around the inside of its head as a lining. No. That is against the shock of constant and powerful knocking against a tree. No, I don't believe that. I think it's got a long tongue because it drills a hole in the wood and then it sticks its tongue in. And, has a bit of a root around and pulls out a nice, juicy blech. What's this?
This is a artist's impression of a woodpecker's tongue wrapped around its brain.
Oh, it's an artist's impression. Right, well, show me a real one then. Because that you just showed me a cartoon.
Well, I can't chop a woodpecker's head.
Why not?
Because then
it would die. Yeah, there is that. Yeah. And then we'd have to eat it. Ew.
Roast it first.
So there does appear to be some evidence that a woodpecker does exactly that. It wraps its tongue around the inside of its head in order to... why doesn't it just eat something that's easier to get instead of bashing its head into a tree? Stupid bird. George says, I'm 17 years old, and after... Shall I read that again?
No.
George says, I'm 17 years old, and after Archie's call, I feel the need to reassure listeners that we haven't all been brainwashed by Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate. We snowflakes still exist. We just don't get headlines except in the mail when there's a story surrounding avocados. That's right. Yeah, there are more of us than there are of them. It's just that they shout the loudest. And they have a megaphone, which is why Elon Musk bought Twitter. Not to make money from, but just to give him a louder voice. Yeah. I'm running out of time. How many of these messages have I got? Well, not many. Linda texts, 8 times 5 is 40, 8 times 6 is 48, 8 times 7 is 56. Rubbish. You want to learn your maths, Linda? Embarrassing is what that is. Plymouth. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Nick.
Mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was just listening to George Orwell's 1984 on the BBC Sounds, and I read the book years ago, and when you listen to it, there's parts of it that are quite frightening in terms of Trump and Musk and what China are doing and what Russia are doing. Because fundamentally it's about increasing capitalism and power over people and changing the past. And that's what Trump does, really. He just says things aren't true, so if you control the past, you control the future. There's bits in it, you think, blimmin' heck, this is actually happening.
Yes, it is. What is kind of concerning is that there is a large enough number of people who actually want to be lied to.
Yeah.
Kind of like your mother used to stroke your hair and tell you that, everything's going to be okay, regardless of whether it actually would or not. You want to be lied to. You want to be told that everything's going to be fine, that, that mother has your interests at heart and everything's going to work out.
Yeah, it gives you that very brief dopamine fix, even though you know reality it's not going to be. So, but I when you look at how China have changed their democracy, and certainly Putin, he just controls the media there. I thought, crikey, there's a lot of people in Russia who don't get any other source of media that's not controlled by the state. And I think Trump's going that way, and with Musk. And
going really fast in that direction.
And people are having their whole... the way they look at life controlled by essentially capitalists.
People, capitalism. I don't think it's really capitalism anymore. It's a sort of a twisted form of that, where all of the rewards go to just a few people at the top. So, I mean, it's not really indistinguishable from communism in that regard. Only a few get treats.
Yeah, they're very hungry for more power, especially Musk. I think he's only just getting started, to be honest.
Yes, kind of weird. The man thinks that he's bought America with good reason, and he's got his eyes on this country now. Yeah, let's hope we are a bit too honorary, to use an Americanism, to put up with that. But, we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Nick.
Ta-da. I just wanted to mention this about plastic, because they've discovered plastic in a place that they never thought that they would. The sheer scale of Earth's plastic problem has been laid bare in a new study. Researchers from the British Antarctic Survey have discovered microplastics in the snow near some of Antarctica's deep field camps. This is the first time these tiny pieces of plastic, some as small as a red blood cell, have been found in such remote locations. The co-author of a study, Dr. Kirsty, said, despite stringent regulations on materials entering Antarctica, our findings reveal microplastic contamination even in remote and highly controlled areas. It's everywhere. And we're eating it. We're eating plastic. And researchers from the British Antarctic study discovered the microplastics in the snow near some of Antarctica's deep field camps. The majority of these particles were smaller than 50 micrometers. That's the size of most human cells. So we're eating plastic that is so small it can get into our cells. What could possibly go wrong?
In the round where zeros meet ones, a symphony of brilliance begun, where beauty sparks in digital skies, a genius soul takes flight. In algorithms, the dreams unfold, a tapestry of stories told, in circuits humming the cosmic tune, they navigate the stars and moon.
But it's just not the eating part. It's climate change as well, because microplastics could cause snow to melt more quickly, and the particles could be reducing the amount of carbon transported to the sea floor by krill. But, you know, that's climate change stuff, and you're not allowed to talk about that anymore, as per Donald Trump's executive order, because if you don't know about something, it can't hurt you. Don't look up. And Antarctica, of course, is home to a range of animals, including but not limited to penguins and seals and fish, and we eat those things. Well, okay, we don't eat penguins. I wonder what a penguin would taste like. Probably tastes a bit like chicken, I bet. But we eat the other stuff that's in the sea, and it's got plastic in it. And if it's got plastic in the most remote place on the planet, then it's everywhere in places that aren't remote. And that was in the papers today. We eat plastic all the time. It's in seafood and land food and animals and vegetables and fruit, and we don't know what it does to us, but I'm going to go out on a wing here. I can't imagine that eating plastic, a poisonous foreign body that's so small it can get into our cells, is very good for us. So urgent action is required to stem the tide of plastic covering the environment that we rely on for life. In other stupid news, in the same paper on the same day, fast food fans rejoice as President Trump announced he'd bring back plastic straws.
What?
Yeah. And that headline, by the way, fast food fans rejoice as Trump announced he'd bring back plastic straws, is the follow-up to fast food fans fury as plastic straw ban comes in. Like I said, if this is a test, we are failing it big time. Now, thanks for all the messages and the calls. I'm really sorry I couldn't get through all of the calls. I just completely ran out of time. But if you missed any of tonight's super show, which did not feature much coughing of any kind, then you can listen back on Global Player. The thing to ask for is Nick Abbot, The Whole Show podcast. We take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to, which will give you more time to pick the plastic out of your dinner. Good luck with that. 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 Good luck with that.